Now that we have our big modular Gringotts, I thought we should go back to the original from 2002. This is set 4714 Gringotts Bank and is the first playset Gringotts to ever exist, and only the second one that has been its own little standalone building. Now this set released in 2002 alongside a couple other Philosopher's Stone sets that didn't quite make the original wave. This is also back at a time where they used to do alternate builds for all of the sets, and one of the little models from one of those alternate builds is actually featured in the brand new Gringotts Bank set, which is really cool. Included were 4 minifigures, starting off with Harry Potter, who is just in a very casual attire. And despite being incredibly basic, I really like the fact that he does actually somewhat resemble his outfit from the Philosopher's Stone, as limited as Lego's printing was back then. And when I say that, I really mean that he has like a blue jacket, which kind of somewhat represents his plaid shirt. Next up is Hagrid, who has brown and creepily molded fingers. That being said, I think there is a certain charm to this Hagrid's minifigure. I really like what they did with the body in order to create that height difference between a regular minifigure and Hagrid himself, especially since back then all of the minifigures either had short legs or the regular standard minifigure legs. Underneath Hagrid's kind of rubbery feeling hairpiece, he does have a little smile print, although you cannot see it at all under all that hair. And then lastly, there are 2 goblins. One is wearing a red jacket and one is wearing a black jacket, and both of them have these tan specialty molded heads, which honestly are incredibly creepy but also look really cool. Much like a lot of other Lego things from this time, I think there is a certain charm to them about that, and I think they've also got some pretty detailed torsos given that this was 2002. Overall though, there's nothing super special about them, although this head mold was actually reused later on in 2011, which I'm kind of surprised just given how dated it feels. Now despite being incredibly small in both size and piece count, I feel like this Gringotts, much like the newer one, contains every single element of the bank. First up is this tiny little trolley build, which is the only thing that really feels out of place. I mean, Harry can push it, but I feel like if the goblins were pushing it, they would be way too small. There's a couple of really nice printed tiles on the inside, but for the most part, I really don't understand why it was included. Next up is the Gringotts Vault, which is an incredibly simple build. It is mostly made up of this giant rock piece. However, it is big enough and it allows you to fit so many things in here. Like you could throw in a ton of gold bars and chrome coins, which 4 of which are actually included in this little subsection of the build, but you could also throw in your own Philosopher's Stone if you wanted to, or even some of the new printed galleon pieces. There is just so much space in here. And the door's just simply on a hinge joint so you can open and close it, and there is a little hole at the front so you can actually stick a key into the door. Next up is the Gringotts cart system, which compared to the 2023 version is incredibly basic and is also really short. Now, one thing to note with my particular version of this set is I bought it used. It's not new, so a lot of these pieces are kind of squeaky and have a lot of friction between them, so the speed that this cart actually travels at when you utilize the play feature by lifting up this back plate is incredibly slow. And once you lift that plate up, actually there is a tiny little printed spell type tile. I'm not necessarily sure why that's there. Now the Gringotts card itself is pretty cool. Again, it is very basic and mine is incredibly stiff, but it does fit 3 minifigures really nice and easy, which for 2002, I'm incredibly glad about. And then we move on to the Gringotts Bank building itself, which is really the main attraction here. Everything else is kind of supplementary and almost feels a little bit like filler. However, each element is an important aspect of Gringotts, but nothing is as important as the bank building itself. My favorite thing about this model though are the printed Gringotts bricks. These ones are a tiny little bit yellowed, but I really love the logo, and it actually is spelt entirely properly since it's not broken up over a couple of pieces. Gringotts is no longer a thing. It is all written out really nicely on those 1x8 bricks, and there are 2 of them too, so you get that same Gringotts logo on either side of the building. It's really only this middle section which you can actually take out that is the kind of unique and interesting part. Which, speaking of that middle section, it acts as the reception area of the Gringotts Bank. You can put a goblin behind the desk and have Hagrid and Harry try and get into Harry's vault. However, the goblin, because he's so short, can barely look over the desk. I wish there was like a little brick or something back here just to kind of bump up the goblin's height a little bit, but I don't necessarily care all too much. It just does look a little bit weird. At the back, there are these 2 spinning letterbox pieces that can twist around where you can shove some letters or some coins, and both of which are spinning around so they can rotate a little bit, but for the most part, I just keep them facing forward. Lastly, at the very top, this entire tower section can actually open up, and inside there are 4 more of those really nice chrome coins. And this top section is pretty basic otherwise, besides those printed bricks, and it's really only decorated with a couple of animals, including 2 owls and a little mouse. Even going off 2002 standards, I don't think this original Gringotts set was anything to write home about. I mean, it's really cute, the play feature features are pretty fun and it includes every element of Gringotts, but I just don't think it was too exciting. The build is incredibly empty and there are a couple of play features, but nothing spectacular. I mean, the track is incredibly small, so I can't imagine you'd have a lot of fun with that. And there's also, I guess, not too many pieces either in terms of like role play. It's fun, it's cute, and for me, I'm just excited to have it because then I have a full Gringotts collection. But let me know what you think about this set in the comments below and consider subscribing to my channel for some more vintage Harry Potter reviews.